Welcome back. It's been quite a while since we've had the opportunity to talk with someone from City Hall. So today we have the mayor, we have Mike Kalivas with us, and we're going to be asking him all sorts of questions to find out what is happening in Brockville. Welcome to the program, Mr. Mayor. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So the city's economic department made a significant announcement yesterday. Wasn't that awesome?
It was incredibly awesome. News like that, to being able to make an announcement like that,
Yes.
does not happen very often. It takes, we've probably been decades since we've had that kind of a major industry come to Brockville. Having Leclerc come in, choosing Brockville was a major accomplishment. Was certainly the St. Lawrence Economic Corridor group. The provincial government, federal, everybody had to be involved with this. The staff at City Hall, it was a combined team effort. But at the end of the day, Leclerc chose Brockville as their preferred site. We were quite devastated when P&G left. Let's face it; it was a big hole in our industry. A 785,000 square foot building does not get filled overnight. So having Leclerc come in, offering those jobs that they're talking about now, over 100 to 200 jobs with spinoffs, it's a big deal for Brockville. They're going to be good paying jobs. They're going to be here for a long time. The Leclerc is a very strong company in the food industry, and we're so looking forward to having them join Brockville and area. So it's a combined effort, a regional effort for sure.
And it's one that's probably taken quite a while to pull together. It's not something that just happens within a week or within a month. And,
no, that's for sure. Yeah,
I understand that Leclerc also has some fingers in Cornwall as well as Hawkesbury and some
Correct.
other areas. So that's really nice to hear.
And the U.S. as well too. Yeah.
Yes, so, of course, the U.S.
And the beauty of this was too. This was not a closure of one plant and move to Brockville. This is just a new plant.
Yes.
To add to their company. This is major for Brockville.
People are eating those cookies.
Yes, they are.
Celebration
cookies.
They are good, I must admit.
I tell you, I've had my fair share in the last few months. I can tell you that much.
Okay, so 200 jobs. Wow, that's nothing to sneeze at. So winter is here. Snow is here. And I feel sorry for the city staff having to clear all of that snow off the streets. Has it been a big problem?
It has been a big problem. I shouldn't say a big problem, but when you get that amount of snow that we had, for instance, last Monday with that snowstorm, that's, when you're into the 40 plus centimeters of snow and then having to plow that snow and then having to remove that snow on top, I tried to send out as many messages as I could to the citizens, telling them that you can't park your car overnight on the streets. That's when they're plowing. They're plowing all day, but the removal of the snow happens at night.
Yes.
When they're doing that. They can't just come upon a vehicle that's parked there now looking around. They don't want a ticket. They don't want a tow. They just want to do their jobs.
Exactly.
They just want to be able to clear that snow for all the citizens. So again, that's just one of those things. Have patience, folks, but still at the same time, it's obvious you can't leave your vehicles overnight on the streets. You've got to get them off, and you've got to let staff do their jobs.
Yes.
That's all they want to do.
Yes, indeed. Garbage pickup. 2 weeks, we've had a problem with garbage pickup. Is that being solved?
Well, it's somewhat a little bit ongoing still. It's the one problem. Obviously, last week we had it was weather related again with the storm, and that took it just kept on going. The domino effect of day after day, and everyone's garbage getting delayed. But GFL, it's COVID related, staff related. They're having a difficult time keeping staff. So it's a truck stops for a day or stops for half a day. They don't have the manpower, whatever the case may be. It throws everything off. We're not alone. I'm hearing that other municipalities are experiencing the same thing. It's difficult. It's challenging. We know that in most businesses and all that, staffing is an issue. And in the garbage situation, they're no exception either.
Right.
They're doing their very best.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's one of those things where I'm asking the citizens to be patient. We've said it over and over again. Yeah, I realize your garbage didn't get picked up that day, but it probably got picked up the next day.
Yes.
So, when we're telling everybody, fortunately, during the wintertime, it's a little bit easier to leave garbage out overnight when it's minus 20 or minus 25.
Right.
Hopefully, I really hope this, that we have all of these issues ironed out in the next few weeks or whatever the case may be, so that when the better weather does come along, we don't have to experience that and the garbage will get picked up in the time.
So let's talk about ice rinks. I mean, come on, our youngsters want to get out there and skate. What rinks are open?
Well, the rinks that are open are the Laurier Park, and Blockhouse Island is open as well too. So that was a big, in order for us to get Blockhouse Island finally flooded and cleared off. Both of those, of course, are weather related as much as possible. The Rotary Park, unfortunately, due to constraints or whatever the case may be, and their COVID-related issues, staff just were not comfortable with the Rotary rink. So that's why we put an exception or put it to accelerate to get Blockhouse Island open, which it is now. It's a big ice pad there, and it's accommodating a number of people. The Rotary Park's got the benches. There's enclosed areas. Obviously, they couldn't even have the changing rooms that are installed there now. They can't use those. And staffing was an issue that we just didn't have the staff to monitor that situation in order to make sure that they weren't having too many people all stuck together at the Rotary rink. That was probably a good probability that could happen. At Laurier and certainly at Blockhouse, the options are a much more wider spread that people can stay apart and enjoy their skating. So this weather related, as far as the cold weather is concerned, that's for sure. It's been great as far as Blockhouse is concerned, and Laurier is a very difficult rink. I did find out a few things. Apparently, with the Laurier rink, one of the problems is there's a natural spring underneath there.
Oh.
And I didn't know that either. And that's because I was like, why can't we get that rink going? Because it just won't freeze. Oh. It needs to be minus 20 or 25 for an extended period of time. We're finally got that.
Yes.
Now. Yes. I think Laurier is happening now, but I didn't realize how it's sort of a bit of a swamp with a natural spring there too. Yes. So, anyways, it's up and running.
So going back to Rotary Park, is this something in the future then will probably be open if the weather holds and whatnot? So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything active on the Woolworth building?
As a matter of fact, we are. We do have a few irons in the fire, I guess you want to say now. Staff are still working with a couple of interested parties that are trying to bring some proposals forward to the city. We've got our thoughts on how we want to see that property developed. So we are in the process now of seeing some of those reports coming in.
Good.
And we're hoping that in the next little while we'll be able to move forward with that and have someone take it to another level, so that we can bring that out to the public and show them what we're thinking about, and then go from there. We're not there yet, but we're hoping that something will happen certainly by spring.
That's great. Let's talk about housing. Are there new developments that are going to be happening in the city of Brockville as far as apartments, condos, etc.?
There are certainly. We do have apartments that are going to be obviously. We talked about, on Garden Street, right?
Yes.
We know that's going, and the first phase and the second phase is going as well. But there are certainly going to be some, I think we talk about over on across from the Highland Golf Course over on Parkdale Avenue.
Yes.
We're talking about some seniors independent living there.
Wow.
That's about 90 units that are going to be moving there over 3 phases. And then there's always Brockwoods is coming on, and then there's Bartholomew Street, believe it's about 55 units over on Bartholomew Street, an apartment building that's going to be going as well.
Nice.
And then we're hearing, of course, the big news that was on a couple of weeks ago, talking about what we call the Zellers property.
Yes,
That
yes.
was a big announcement by the owners of that property that they were looking to develop that in that direction. And that certainly checked off a lot of boxes of not only seniors living, but residential, commercial, having all kinds of recreational, a warming center. Like, it's all there. It's a beautiful piece of property. It's centered right where it should be. And so we look forward to those developments. I think a lot of things are going to be happening in the next while, this year, next year. We were talking about up on Windsor and Centennial Drive.
Right.
Centennial Road, there's like 470
Yes.
units wanting to go up there too. So, sky's the limit. We're hoping that these things come to fruition. Especially now when you hear about things like the Leclerc company now coming to town.
Yes.
It's a buzz,
It
So
is.
people, housing is needed, and
Mhm.
we've got to keep up with that. We've got hopefully the developers out there and saying, let's get going, because Brockville's going to be growing.
And hopefully affordable housing too. Affordable for
Yeah.
people, because that seems to be an issue. Can we talk about tiny houses? How is
Yes.
that? Like, I haven't heard anything more. What's happening?
Well, the tiny houses, we did come to decision to offer 1 or 2 units on Kensington Drive. So those were close to amenities. There was a park there that we're taking off a section of it, not the whole park. So it's a good start, and we're hoping to build from there. I'm hearing that the potential is that they could be starting this spring to get that
Wow.
moving forward. So that's what we're
Good.
hoping. And then we just start picking apart other pieces of property. It's you want to make sure that it's something it's a good blend. It offers them an opportunity to get to amenities too. Not everybody has a vehicle and that sort of thing in the tiny homes, but so we're working with the groups that want to put that forward, and and we're hoping that we can accommodate that in the future as well.
Good. Let's talk about budgets.
Do we have to?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Just want to make sure. There seems to be a lot of, there always is around budgets, okay? So our organizations are asking for funding, and people are giving their comments. I'm sure you're getting phone calls and emails and everything else. Do the people on council actually take all of the conversations into consideration when they're looking at these asks?
I think they totally do. I know I do, and I know that counselors do as well. It's every community partner that we have has their group and all their followers and their supporters, and they're pretty extensive in a lot of cases. And you know what, they let their opinions known to council, from the library to all of these facilities, all of these partners. They bring their budgets forward to the city, and yeah, you'd be surprised on how many people chime in to say, look, we believe in this facility and we believe in this cause, and you know what, council does take that very seriously. Of course, there's also the other element of just trying to plug that all into a puzzle in order
Yes.
to bring something forward to the public to say, okay, well, here's our final budget. How far can we go? How
Yes.
much of an increase can we really make that's realistic in these times?
Right.
These are things that we take very seriously. It's not easy, and unfortunately, sometimes you can't give everybody what they want. We've got the Kingston General Hospital now is looking for an ask, 65,000, an extremely worthy cause. I mean, who has not been touched by at one point having to go not only from our hospital but to go to either Kingston or Ottawa, whatever the case may be. So
Exactly.
we feel for that, and we certainly want to help, and we're going to do whatever we can to help. The dollars are few.
Yes.
We're trying to stretch them as far as we can, and trying to make make the best of what we can in order that we can try to help as many people as we can.
Very well said. So earlier today, people probably have already viewed this interview that I had with Rob Adams at the Y, the Brockville Y, and of course they have received that nice funding amount, which he was telling our viewers that would be going into outside area where the tennis courts are, and they will be putting in some basketball courts, which will be used for other things, as well as pickleball. And he was telling me he thought maybe 8 courts would probably go in there, along with a couple of retaining the tennis. So now, how does that sit with the city? Is that something? Can you comment on it? That's, I guess, what I'm actually asking you. Please.
Well, sure. We're glad to see that opportunity came for the Y. That's great that they were able to get that grant, and they've made that decision. Obviously, we've all seen that there's a pickleball club as well, and they've put in their presentation that they want to build a pickleball facility behind the Memorial Center. So of course everybody just sits there, and the obvious thing would be like, well, I don't get it. I mean, the Y wants to build pickleball courts. These people want to play pickleball. They want to build somewhere else. Why can't the two of them get together?
Yes.
It's interesting. One of the conversations, I think probably the biggest conversation is the fact that, where the pickleball club was before up on Stranger Boulevard, having a lot of difficulty with the noise level, with neighbors around. It's been a real contentious issue. So they're certainly aware of that, and they don't want to go through that again as a pickleball club. They saw the opportunity at the Y, and they're looking at the opportunity at the Y. I'm sure they are, and I'm hoping that they will continue to. And it's, I'm hoping that the Y can convince them that this is where they need to be. I would be a real match as far as I'm concerned. But, I think that they're still looking at the fact that the Y has some neighborhood areas around it as well, too, some neighboring residential areas.
Yes.
And I think the pickleball club is still, I would almost call it gun shy about just wanting to establish there, and all of a sudden, again, the noise level going where it is. The Y has convinced us to say that won't be an issue. They've done their studies. They know exactly what they're getting into. So I'm hoping that there's still time for the pickleball club and the Y to get together. If not, then we'll have to deal with each project as it goes on. The Y obviously is moving forward with theirs. They've made their decision, and it's good for them. I'm glad to see that, and we'll have to see where everything's going to fall as far as the pickleball club. If they want to take a chance with the Y, that would be fantastic, great. And if not, then they can continue on the path of trying to convince council that that's where they need to be up at the Memorial Center. And again, we'll have to wait and see where the dollars fall on all of that. So
yes.
There's some decisions that have to be made.
Yes. So last question. Last question happens to be about the equitarium. And it's something that I don't understand. When they were presenting and their PowerPoint that they had, they actually referred to the equitarium, indicating that they were seeking $375,000 for 2022 above the base funding. Help me to understand what this means.
Well, the base funding was one that we implemented since the beginning of the equitarium, which basically meant we were going to give them $60,000 a year. So okay. $60,000 was the base funding, $60,000 cash. There is some in-kind portion as well on top of that.
Yes.
That staff are working, doing certain things, the books or whatever the case may be for the equitarium. So when you add that all up, that gets to about $90,000 or so with the in-kind. So obviously the equitarium is asking for an additional $375,000. I mean, last year it was I believe $525,000. This year it's $500,000. They've actually brought their budget down by $25,000 from the year before. So again, you could either say, because the word's out there talking about, we need to do something with that base funding. because it doesn't make any sense to have $60,000. Maybe it doesn't. So I guess the bottom line is they're asking for 500 this year. If the base funding was $100,000, then they'd ask me for 400,000, not for So
Yes.
either way, it's just I think it's just the comfort level of where council would like to see what would be a permanent funding as we fund all of our facilities, in Brockville.
Yes.
The library, the arenas, the art center, they all get a portion,
Right.
and the museum.
Yes.
Exactly. So, obviously, it's out there right now, and there are certain people that think that it's not a viable option. We still think there's a tremendous amount of value in the equitarium. I think it's still a great facility. I think that there's a real value there. We just have to make it work. We still have a commitment. And that's another thing too. Like, we took a major amount of money from the provincial and federal government in order to build that facility.
Yes.
And we had a 10-year, we're not finished. We're still about 4 years away from the end of that commitment. So in order for us to say, all of a sudden, we're just going to walk away from the equitarium, well, those are pretty expensive words. And I think the public needs to understand that.
Yes.
You just can't all of a sudden, because if in order for you to do that, then the province and the federal government will say, okay, well, where's our money?
Right.
So, so it's not just a case of just saying, oh, we're just not going to fund it anymore. There's a lot more involved.